Hey guys, Problem 1701 here. Today we are going to talk about Eve of the Daleks, the 2022 New Year's special. And let me say, right off from the go, I love this story. I truly enjoyed this story. It's one of my favorites of the Whittaker era. Definitely top three, because I love The Haunting of Villa Diodati, and I really love the Tesla episode as well. But I think this one's definitely probably in my top three or four. It's really good. My biggest thing I love is, one, Jodie Whittaker is fantastic in this episode. I absolutely love how she plays the Doctor in this episode. And I think the biggest thing for me is that the 13th Doctor as a character is really good in this story. My biggest complaint about Whittaker when I did my video, my 40-minute video on why I thought the 13th Doctor failed, I had several complaints, but the biggest one was that she always seems on the back foot, and how she never seems in the control of the situation, that she's always playing catch-up. None of that applies here. She seems very in control here, very planning ahead. You know, she's a little confused at first, which is perfectly understandable, but she catches on quickly. She's forming plans. She catches on to what's going on, and she doesn't panic. She moves quickly. She gets everybody following her. She's very quick to point out, no, y'all need to listen to what I say. Listen to me. I am in charge. Well, you tried doing it your way, and what happened? Didn't work your plan, did it? She's very good at getting people to stop and listen to her, which is fantastic. She feels very in control of the situation. I absolutely love her figuring all this out and getting plans put into motion and changing plans on the get-go. She feels like the Doctor. I very much feel like I am watching the Doctor in this story, and that is, one, a huge shock to me, and two, a pleasant surprise. Now, don't get me wrong, there were times in episode 6 of Flux where I liked some of the stuff she was doing. There have been other times in her run where she has had even an episode or moments where I've really liked her, but she really feels like the Doctor in this one. I absolutely love the commanding performance she takes here. I love how she talks to the Daleks. She's not afraid of them. She gets right up in their faces like, psh, I'll stop you. I always stop you. You never win. I love that. I absolutely love how full of confidence that she is going to figure this out and win and get everybody out alive. I absolutely love that. I felt like I was watching a proper Doctor in proper Doctor Who, and I don't say that lightly. The story itself, I absolutely like. One, I love time loop stuff. I'm a huge fan of Groundhog Day, actually. I have Groundhog Day right here. Right where I can get at it, actually. That's where I keep it. I love Groundhog Day. I'm a huge fan of that movie. I also really love the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, Cause and Effect, where they're stuck in a time loop. Also has Kelsey Grammer in that episode. Love that one a lot. So I tend to love time loop stuff. So that appeals to me. Two, I like the little way they changed it slightly, where each loop is happening with a minute less than the previous loop. It adds this sense of urgency to it. They don't have just an infinite number of loops to figure this out. It adds a ticking clock to it. Quite literally, actually. I like that now that I think about it, a ticking clock. I love that. I feel so clever right now. To it, to where they're having less time each loop to figure this out. I love that. It adds to the tension that you know they only have, like, say, another 4 or 5 or 6 loops to get this done. And the fact that, again, with the 13th Doctor is having to do all of this with such little time. You know, I've got 5 minutes to figure this out, and her mind is going. You can just see everything clicking. And the fact she doesn't even have time to be nice about it sometimes. Like when she gets on the Yaz, she's like, no, I need you to go do this. And you can tell Yaz a little hurt. And she's like, look, I'm sorry, but I don't have time to be nice. I need you to go do this. I like that. It goes back to that time in Thin Ice when Capaldi was when Capaldi was telling Bill about, you know, when she's like, well, don't you get upset when people die? And he's like, well, I can't, because if I take the time to mourn that, then more people die. Other people die. It goes back to that. She doesn't have time to be nice because she only has such a little time to work with. You know, she doesn't have time to use 3 words and 1 word will do. I also like the fact that this story shows kind of the consequences of her actions in Flux, in the fact that the Daleks are trying so hard to get her and track her down and kill her because of the events in Flux where all of the Dalek ships were destroyed when the Daleks adopted the Soltaran stratagem. When the Sontarans, I don't know why I say it with a now, the Sontarans decided to wipe out the Daleks and the Cybermen. And I like the fact that the Daleks blame this on the Doctor, because I said that as well in Flux, that the Doctor commits triple genocide. And I've heard other people, including one of my friends, was like, well, the Doctor didn't destroy the Daleks and the Cybermen. The Sontarans did that. You can't blame her for that. And I was like, yes, I can. Because she didn't stop it. She could have tried to save them. She didn't. She adjusted their plan. Well, she had to, but she let it happen. And to me, the Doctor is the kind of person they find a way. That's what the Doctor does. And I like the fact that the Daleks agree with that. The Daleks blame her for what happens to those millions of Daleks who were destroyed by the Flux at the end of the Vanquishers. And that's the reason why all of this is going on. It's a direct result of her actions. And the Doctor seems to agree with that too, because the Doctor even says at one point, my actions are catching up with me. She blames herself with everything going on. That it's her fault. So even she, on some level, believes that all of those Daleks dying, Cybermen dying, Sontarans dying, are her fault. So I love that her actions and the consequences of her actions are carrying on into this story and are the catalyst for what is causing all of the events in this story. That I find quite fascinating, and it's nice to see the consequences of her actions paying off here. And the fact that she couldn't save all of them and all of those Daleks died is why she's having to deal with this situation. I find that really, really neat. And I like it. It's weird to be pleased that the Daleks agree with you about something. But, when I saw that story point, I was like, I feel vindicated. I feel so vindicated because that's exactly how I feel about it. It made me feel good. I like that they really opened up about Yaz's feelings for the Doctor, because when I complained before about Flux, was that the writers of the story were trying to have their cake and eat it too by straddling that middle line on the fence about Yaz and the Doctor. This kind of will they won't they thing, that they wouldn't pick a direction on this. They at least are trying more here, it feels like to me, by admitting that Yaz does indeed have these feelings. I love the conversation between her and Dan. I like the looks on her face when, I'm already forgetting, not Nick, but the woman in there. I can't remember the woman who owns the storage shed. When she's talking about Nick down in the lobby to the Doctor, it's like, and he's a weirdo, but he's a kind-hearted weirdo. And my friend Lauren tells me that that's a keeper, and you see Yaz stop and look at the Doctor, and the Doctor's like, what? I love that little scene. It's not quite subtle, but it's good enough to where I like it. Everybody can pick up on it and go, yeah, I see what's going on here. I love that scene when Yaz and Dan talk about it. And Yaz actually admits it. It's nice. I like that they are actually admitting Yaz has these feelings. And I like that Dan calls the Doctor out when she acts like she doesn't get it. It's like, Dan, I don't know what you're trying to say. And Dan's like, I think you do. You pretend not to, but I think you do. I like that. I like that because the Doctor is the kind of person who could be that oblivious, don't get me wrong. But I like the fact that, much like I'm very sure the 10th Doctor knew Martha had those feelings, Infinity Quest should give that away of nothing. Because he has to know Martha had those feelings, and he never commented on it. Which is not a very nice thing to do, and it's not really a nice thing for Whittaker to do here. But it's nice to know that she is aware of it. And she just probably doesn't quite know how to process it. Because this Doctor especially doesn't really quite know, I think, how to deal with those kind of emotions. But I'm glad that they're actually taking strides to make some kind of effort on that. I definitely feel like they're at least picking a direction and trying to do something with that. We'll see how it resolves in these last two specials, but I was really pleased with the steps they took toward this. I really like the Daleks in this episode. One, the Dalek voices have this very sinister undertone. I know it's still Nicholas Briggs, and I mean, he's always good at the Daleks, but sometimes, and especially in some of the more modern episodes, I'm like, they're all right. This one, they seem more menacing, more sinister. There's this darker edge to their voices. I don't know if it's deliberately done like that, or if it's just me picking up on it myself, but something about the Dalek voices here sounds better than we've had in a long while. I don't know if it's what's actually done with the modulation or something with the way they talk. I like the way they talk here. It really evokes classic Who to me. But for some reason, the Dalek voices and what they're saying really jumps out at me. I love their new guns and armament. It makes them look a little more dangerous. I love that part at the beginning when she tries to jam it, and it's like, that will not work. It's worked before. Correct. But we learn. I love that. I love the new gun. I hope they keep that gun. The little Gatling gun design looks way more intimidating than the old egg whisk. And I like the thing on the arm better than the plunger. Because let's be honest, the plunger looks a little silly. So I actually like the new armaments. The arm and the gun. That looks a little more 21st century Dalek. I like it better. I love the effect when they're shooting with the rapid fire shooting. I'm all on board for that. I hope those Dalek designs stay. I hope that's just a new modification. And that's not just the Executioner Daleks, but that's something they keep for the Daleks. I really love that design. And just the way the Daleks are shot a lot with the camera angles, especially like from the bottom down, or when they're in shadows sometimes, they look very menacing, like they're stalking you, very stalker-like, but in a scary way more so than a creepy way. You know, just this relentless machine that's coming to get you, like the Terminator from T1, or Michael Myers, you know, that thing in the shadows that will not stop, no matter what. It doesn't feel pity, it doesn't feel remorse, right? It doesn't feel remorse, and it will never, ever stop. I love that. That's the Daleks in this episode, and I love how it goes from 1 to being 2 to being 3 as the Daleks are learning in each loop too. And the Daleks, this story seems to remember the fact the Daleks are geniuses, which is something I complained about before. I love when people remember that the Daleks are intelligent. They're geniuses. They were made to be geniuses. And so the fact that it's keeping up with them, and watching the Doctor have to be a genius as well, and be even more so of a genius to outsmart them, and the way she does it at the end, it all comes together so well. I think the actors playing the 2 guest characters, the one playing Nick, and again, I forget the woman's name, I think they're good. I enjoyed them. I kind of knew it was going to be like a little romance thing with them, with, you know, her slowly figuring out she liked them and them ending up together. That's a little predictable, but it's fine. I don't mind that. I think both of the actors do a good job, and by the end of it, I'm convinced of their relationship and they like each other. Of her kind of, I mean, this is a guy who's willing to give his life for her. And he likes to see the world anyway. That's what she's always wanted to do. Seems like a good pairing. I thought it was interesting when we first see his storage room, and it's like all these people's names with dates, because I was just as weirded out by this as Yaz and the woman were. They were like, I keep stuff from all my ex-girlfriends here. And they're like, they're still alive, right? And he's like, well, yes, of course. And Yaz and the other woman are both like, okay. I'm not going to lie. I was sitting here going, okay. Because even I was a little weirded out, like, oh, is there more to this? Is there a twist to this guy? I'm not saying I'm glad there wasn't. I'm glad it wasn't. But even I, for a moment, was like, oh. But yeah, I enjoyed them. I think this is a fun one for people who don't like Whittaker for whatever reason, because they get to see her get shot by a Dalek several times in the story, so they have to enjoy that at least. But I like this one. You know, I'm not ashamed to admit I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. It had the enjoyability of this episode was really high for me. Now, I don't know what it'll sustain on rewatches. Like, I don't just immediately want to go back and rewatch it. And since I know everything that happens, I don't know if it'll have quite the rewatchability for me that some stories do. I have a feeling it might, but you never quite know till the second time you watch something, so I'll probably go back and watch it later this year. Maybe right before her final episode in the fall, and see, because a lot of it is, you know, kind of wondering what's going to happen next, what's going to happen in the next loop. So I don't know how much of that'll carry over to rewatches. But I have to say, on my first viewing, man, it was so much fun. I was enjoying watching everything that was going on. I liked Dan. I like Dan because Dan might not have all the universe hopping stuff figured out, but he's got a lot of common sense in his head, like how he picked up on how Yaz has feelings for the Doctor. Is that obvious to him since he'd spent, you know, like 4 years traveling with her? I like the fact he was willing to spend time delaying the Dalek. Oh, you saved the universe last week. I figure I owe you one. I love that. And then when he talks to the Dalek, I like how he just pulls the chair up and distracts it. I mean, that could have been filler for the episode, but I liked it. I like when the Dalek's trying to shoot him and he's just sidestepping it. I don't know. It amused me. See, I haven't watched any reviews on this story. I haven't watched what anybody on YouTube has said or read any articles. because I'm sure some of them are nitpicking probably the most trivial, silly things. So they're taking something trivial and making it into something big. I don't like to do that. I really don't. I just wanted to watch the video, you know, blind, no spoilers, and then I wanted to do my review without anyone else's opinion on it. I can say, me personally, I loved it. I felt like I was watching proper Doctor Who. I liked Jodie Whittaker in the role. The 13th Doctor in this story felt like the Doctor, like the proper Doctor. I love that she was in control of the situation, that she never felt behind, and that she was planning ahead as much as she was. That she was being Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, and I was there for every second of it. I think the Daleks are nice and menacing in this story. I like the fact she just didn't necessarily Deus Machina kill them at the end out of nowhere. It is actually something that's built toward what she's setting up this plan. She spends a few loops setting this plan up. And I love the scene when she just drops the building on them. That is a really nice special effect, because in Classic Who that would have been a model shot, very obviously a model shot. So I love that special effect of just watching the building. I loved it. It was a great effect, and I enjoyed that. Like, wow, she stopped the Daleks, she dropped a building on them. And I like how she tricked them and outsmarted them. My only complaint was that the TARDIS interior still looks the same. But that's understandable. Jodie's about to leave. Russell's about to come in. I'm sure we'll get a brand new TARDIS interior for the 14th Doctor, so it doesn't make sense to change it now. But there's still that small part of me when she steps into the reformed TARDIS, and it's the same. I'm like, boo. But other than that nitpick aside, I really don't have anything to complain about. I loved this episode. It was fantastic Doctor Who. And I don't just mean Whittaker era Doctor Who. It was fantastic Doctor Who. And quite possibly the best Dalek story that's come out in about 10 years. Probably my favorite Dalek story since Victory of the Daleks, because I actually do enjoy Victory of the Daleks a lot. So I don't think I've seen another one. Maybe Into the Dalek would be close to it, but I think I might like this one even better than Into the Dalek. So that is my thoughts on that. Whittaker is great. The 13th Doctor is great. The companions are fine. The guest casts are fine. The Daleks are great. The story is fantastic. I enjoyed it. I am very much looking forward to seeing more of the Sea Devils. And I love the fact that in that trailer, these Sea Devils have their classic design. It seems like there is a chance Chibnall wants to go out with a bang. And if he does, I'm here for it. So that is my thoughts on that. I would like to know what you think of Eve of the Daleks. So comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I am looking forward to trying to I cannot talk. I am looking forward to trying to grow the channel to 1,000 subscribers. That is my goal right now. So if you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. We are on our way after all. Why do I keep saying we? I also have a Patreon. If you like what I do and would like to contribute to what I do, there is a link to that down in the description below as well. My Patreon gives nice bonuses. There's all sorts of stuff I put up there. I have different tiers, which give you different bonuses. Some include video requests, which some of those I've been working on. Oh man, one of my patrons came up with a great video ranking the Davros stories. I've really enjoyed doing that one. I want to give a special shout out to my top tier patron, the 5th Doctor. I really enjoy having him on my Patreon. I really appreciate your support. And I'm working on your video request as well. He has 3 this month, so I'm working on those. Other things on there are outtakes, bloopers, exclusive polls for videos that are exclusive. I just got up an exclusive review of The Idiot's Lantern, which was the winner of an exclusive poll for my patrons. I believe I have a poll up right now that is a tiebreaker for which Classic Who story I'll be watching next, and that's between the omnibus version of the Daemons and the Ark in Space, if you would want to vote in that. I will have another one going up soon for another classic story I will be rewatching. The video will not be a Patreon exclusive. That will be a video that comes on the channel, but it will be, the poll is a Patreon exclusive, and the stories available for it are The Ultimate Foe. I actually forget right off. It's 5 stories. I can't remember which ones are on it right off the top of my head, but that'll be there as well if you want to look at that. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.